Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. And today we will discuss about some of the post visa formalities that you will have to do maybe before or maybe after you reach the US. So this would be pre-departure as well as a little bit about post-departure formalities. If you have any questions, you can just interrupt me and ask me or just put it in the chat. Um, Now, all the post-departure formalities, except a few of them, nothing are really important. So, if you miss out on something, don't really panic, or there is nothing that is going to stop you from entering the US or going and studying in at the university. So, these are just some things that you should probably take care of or know about, and whatever you can do is good. If you can't, it's still okay. Okay, just okay. Now, the first thing that you guys can hear me, right? Clearly. I,
Yes.
yeah, okay, good, fine. So now, one of the things that a lot of students these days start are worried about or asking me, and I don't know why, is about the immigration part of it. Now, ideally, the immigration is almost like uh, just a formality. Nothing really happens at immigration, but maybe there are some people who are posting messages on the group in terms of what all can happen at immigration and what all would they ask you and what should you be prepared for. And people are trying to prepare for immigration as if they are preparing for a visa interview all over again, including the documents part, which apparently is not the case. So don't worry about immigration as such. At the immigration, and depends on where you're immigrating. So generally what happens is, if you're whenever you reach the US or whenever you land in the US, the first place that you land in the US is known as your port of entry. So, say maybe you're going to say a university in Chicago, but your flight is via New York. So New York will be your port of entry. So your immigration and customs happens at the port of entry. Now, what some airlines, especially Emirates, had started this a few years back, and I don't know if they still do that. If you route their flights via Dubai, I mean, if you take a flight via Dubai, then they had a US immigration counter at Dubai itself. So you could do your immigration at the Dubai airport, where so immigration is basically just the visa officer stamping your passport and saying welcome to the USA. That's all about it. And sometimes they do ask you, where, I mean, of course, now since you are a student, they would ask you what is the purpose of coming to the US, which university are you studying, planning to study, and that's all. Beyond that, they would not ask you anything. So you don't really have to be prepared or be worried about anything as far as immigration is concerned. Don't fall victim to rumors saying that the immigration officer is going to ask you all a lot of questions and all those things. So don't worry about that. Just it's just going to be a formality, and whichever wherever the immigration happens, maybe in case you are booked on a Emirates flight and you're doing your immigration in Dubai, or then doing it at any, I mean, any airport at the US, it's all going to be the same. Okay. Sometimes what happens is, for those especially who are not going to the university directly, like for example, if your university is in California but your port of entry is New York, right? So generally, the visa officer, just out of curiosity, or the immigration officer would ask you, why have you come to New York when your university is in California? Right? Or I mean, and this generally happens if your port of entry is way far away from the university, and this happens when some students decide to take a break at, say, a friend's place, a relative's place, or whatever it is. If someone is doing that, they can ask you this. Just be honest and tell them that I have family or I have friends here in New York, so I thought I'll spend a couple of days with them, and then I'm leaving on the so and so date, maybe to California. You can just tell them that. That's all about it. So don't have to worry about what if the immigration officer asks me about all these questions and all that. Whatever they ask you, just be honest and answer. You don't really have to worry about it. Same goes with the customs. Um, Now the thing about customs is a little tricky in the sense that the of the so I'll tell you how the process works for those who are traveling for the first time to the United States. So once you enter the United States, whichever is your port of entry, right? So Now, if you are, say, for example, you are some, if there is someone here going to, say, um, probably we'll say University of Texas at Dallas, and your flight is not directly at Dallas, but it's via New York. So you have a ticket booked from, say, Mumbai to, say, Frankfurt to New York, and New York to Dallas, something on that line. It's a single ticket. Now, if it's a single ticket, what happens is your when you check in at the Mumbai airport, or whichever is your international airport in India, or maybe even if it's a domestic airport, even if you check in, your baggages will be booked directly to the final destination if it's a single ticket that you have purchased. If you have purchased two tickets, then you will not, say, for example, you purchased a ticket from Mumbai to New York and then a New York to Dallas as a separate ticket, then that's a separate thing. But if not, it will be booked as a single ticket right till the final destination. But at your port of entry, uh, whichever is your port of entry, you will basically have to, one minute, you will have to clear your customs and immigration. So if your flight is via New York, then whenever you land at New York, you will first have to clear immigration. So what happens at immigration is that they would ask you, why have you come to the USA, or which university are you planning to study at. Sometimes they might just ask you these, and then they'll just check your passport and I-20, and on the passport they'll just put a stamp of entry, and they'll let you inside. Once you clear the immigration, then it is your responsibility to go to the baggage claim counter, collect your baggage, and pass it through the customs terminal. So, I mean, ideally, you can't go out. I mean, you will have to pass through the customs terminal. So basically, you should pick up your bags and then pass it through the customs terminal. Now, at the customs terminal, sometimes they have sniffer dogs, or sometimes they scan your bags in the before it reaches the baggage terminal itself, and depending on whether they want to inspect your bags or not, I would say only 5% of the bags get inspected. They might ask you to open your bags. Now you are allowed to carry almost anything except meat products, or maybe live animals. Live, of course, animals. Of course, live animals you should not, but live plants also. In terms of fruits or vegetables, which basically have seeds in it, which can be germinated and grown in soil. Those kind of things you should not be carrying. So don't carry fruits and vegetables, which is what I would suggest. But anything like dal and rice and whatever little bit masalas you want to carry, you can definitely carry. In the worst case scenario, what has happened is, in case the customs officer feels that something in your bag, or maybe some spice that you have in the bag, is not fit to be carried inside the United States, they would throw it away. I mean, so it's not a problem unless you are carrying drugs with you. Carrying any masala, spice, sugar, whatever it is, salt, if you want to do that, you just carry as per your comfort levels. Although you would get everything in the US, I wouldn't recommend carrying a lot of stuff. But in case you carry, and in case the customs officer feels that something is not really meant to be carried inside in the United States, they would just take it and destroy it. Beyond that, they don't do anything. So you might just lose that item. So maybe sometimes, and generally what happens is anything that is white powderish, they always try to suspect that this could be something else, and they sometimes ask you to open it, or they just take it and destroy it. Beyond that, everything, whatever you need to carry, is absolutely fine. So, but this is how the process works. So you will have to clear immigration, then pick up your bags, pass it through customs, and since your bags are tagged to your final destination, I mean, in case the port of entry is not your final destination, then you will have to again find your airline counter. Say your airline is through, say, maybe Delta Airlines, or maybe Lufthansa, or British Airways, or whatever, whichever, or Air India, whichever it is. You will have to find the Air India, I mean, your airline counter again, and go and hand over your bags again at that, so that we transport it to the final destination. That is how the process would work. Any doubts or any questions about this so far, about how immigration and customs work? Yeah, yeah, Kush, go ahead and ask.
So, sir, I am traveling with Turkish Airlines, and they
Hmm.
have a transition at Istanbul.
Huh.
So, mostly I had two doubts. That first, is the visa required of Istanbul when I land?
I don't think you need Istanbul, Turkey doesn't require any transit visas, especially if you have a US visa or a European visa. So I don't think that is required. And generally, when they do that, they will tell you about it right in the beginning. In the sense, while booking your tickets, only they flag you this that you may need a transit visa. So if you have only one layover at Istanbul, then you will not. So if your second flight from Istanbul to Boston or somewhere in the US, then you will not need. If there is a flight from Istanbul to some other place in Europe, then sometimes it causes a problem.
Okay, sir. And the sir, my second doubt was that as there is a layover at Istanbul,
Hmm.
so as you said, for the customs we have to first clear the baggage. So will I need to do the process again at Istanbul?
No, no, at Istanbul you don't have to do anything. Your customs and immigration will happen only at the port of entry in the USA, not at your transit destinations.
Transit
So you
destination.
will not get your bags at the transit destinations.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so because
Thank
your
you, sir.
bags will be booked till the USA, it doesn't matter where you transit in between. Even for those who are traveling via Dubai and they do immigration at Dubai, the because some and that is only if you're traveling via Emirates. Only Emirates has that facility of doing immigration via Dubai. Uh, but the other place, your customs, where your bags will be, the customs will happen at the when you land in the US. So when you land in the US, you will not have to go through the immigration counter again, but you will directly go to pick up your bags and pass it through customs and take it via from there. Okay. Okay. Another thing that you are not supposed to carry, of course, is cash of more than $10,000. And when I say cash, I mean actual cash currency. Your cards might be loaded with $10,000. You want to carry a draft. Nowadays, nobody carries a draft and traveler's checks, but then in case someone does, you might do that. But if you're carrying actual physical cash, you should not be carrying cash of more than $10,000. That is also another requirement. Ideally, that is more of a Indian government requirement, probably not the US government thing. So, but then I would still say don't carry cash of more than $10,000. Whatever you carry little cash and more of maybe a forex card, or you can just we'll talk about that how do you transfer money and all that. But so that is about immigration and customs. Some airlines allow two bags. Most airlines allow actually two bags for the US. Some allow three bags. Now, in case someone is doing a break journey, um, in the sense, like I said, say you are going to New York, you have family, friends in New York, and then staying there, and then you have a different ticket completely from New York to Boston. Just remember that local flights in the US generally don't allow baggages. I mean, they allow baggages, but then you will have to pay extra for it. So, or sometimes they allow only one baggage. So, in case you are carrying two or three baggages and you have a local connection, which you have booked separately. If you have booked it on a single ticket, you don't need to worry about it. Like, for example, if you have booked a ticket right from, say, Mumbai to Dallas and via New York, via it goes so something like that, then you don't have to worry about the New York Dallas trip because your ticket will cover the three bags or two bags, whatever is allowed by your airlines, all throughout the journey. But if someone has booked two different tickets, like you bought a ticket from Mumbai to New York and then you bought a different ticket from New York to Dallas, then the New York to Dallas ticket may not have the provision for carrying both your luggages or three luggages. So you might have to pay extra for luggage. So just take care of that in case someone has done that. But if not, I think you're good. You don't have to worry about the baggage, how much allowance and all. Again, two bags generally should be sufficient enough. Just because the airline allows three, I would leave it up to you whether you want to carry the third bag or not. Carrying too much stuff is only a hassle for you because carrying it, transporting it from the airport to your apartment or wherever your temporary accommodation is and all that might take a little. It might be a little challenging. So and generally the cost of the bag, the stuff that you buy here is all going to be, I mean, if you decide to just buy it in the US in the long run, I would say you can just do that also. So don't carry, my recommendation is, of course, don't carry a lot of stuff. Almost everything is available in the US. Yes, maybe at a slightly higher cost, but it still makes it, traveling light makes it a little more comfortable. Um, Another thing that you should be aware of, that trolleys are not free in the US. At US airports, most airports don't offer free trolleys. They would charge you anywhere up to $5 to $10 per trolley. So in case you need a trolley, sometimes if you have just two bags, and especially this you might this might happen at the customs where you're clearing customs or something, so you might need to pay for the trolley in case you have a lot of luggage, to take it from the customs and walk it through, carry it from the luggage compartment to the customs. So be prepared for that. So that is another expense that you would have to make, and that for that you either use a travel card or you can use cash to pay for your trolleys. But this is something that you should be aware of. The trolleys are not free in the US, so that is where your first expense would start in once you land in the US. Uh, that is the first thing place where you might end up spending your dollars on buying renting a trolley. Any more any questions regarding this whole customs immigration that you have, or anything related to your tickets, travel, transits? Good. We'll move on to the next part, which is okay. One is immunization. Now, immunization requirements vary slightly from university to university and state to state. Most commonly accepted required immunizations are the MMR vaccine. Some states don't have it. I think California doesn't require the MMR vaccine, but other most of the other states require you to have proof of your MMR vaccines, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. Most of you might have taken these vaccines when you were a kid. So ideally, I would suggest that you should get a doctor's certificate. If you have those records with you, um, then you can carry those. Otherwise, just get a letter from your any doctor. It could be any doctor. It need not be the same doctor who gave you those vaccines when you were a kid. You could just get it certified from any doctor. Many universities have their immunization form. So you could either just ask the doctor to fill it for you and stamp and sign. Now, when you do the one thing about the MMR vaccine is that in India, in many times, the MMR vaccine is given before your first birthday, before you turn 12 months old. And in your 11th month or something, they give you the first vaccine, and then the 12th or 13th month, they give you the second vaccine. But as per the US law, your first vaccine should be after your 12th month, that is after your first birthday, and the second vaccine can be any time at least 1 month apart. So what happens is that because you might have taken one in your 11th month and one in your 13th month, the 11th month was not going to be counted. So technically, the US universities would tell you that you have basically taken only one vaccine, so they'll ask you to take one more vaccine now, which will count as your second vaccine. In case you want to do that, you can just go ahead and do that. Um, so that depends on you, or if the doctor is willing to just on the immunization form, put in dates where the first date is after the somewhere in your 13th month, and 1 month, and the second date is 1 month later. That will also solve your problem. In case someone has not taken the vaccines and does not take it also, what would happen is once you reach the university would ask you for immunization proof, or maybe you have taken the vaccine but you don't have proof, or you forgot to carry the proof and all that. Then the university will give you those vaccines. I mean, they will ask you to take them while you are there. So they will ask you to take one vaccine and maybe come back a month later and get your second vaccine done. Now the problem with that, it's not a problem, but then they charge you for those vaccines, and the cost of those vaccines there can be anywhere between $40 to $50 per vaccine. So that's the only thing that so you might end up spending some $80-$100 more on those vaccines, which you might have taken already. So if your university has requirements for MMR or any other vaccines, and if you've already taken them, carry records of it, or if possible, just get it done in India. Another thing that many universities require is TB test. Now, the TB test is something that you can either get. Some universities allow TB test taken in India. Some universities will ask you to go there and take the TB test. If they require you to take the TB test on campus, then there is nothing much you can do. You will have to just go there and take the TB test. If it is allowed that you take a TB test in India, then just get a TB test in India done and carry reports of that. Or again, your doctor can give you. You will generally get the lab reports, but you can also ask the doctor to certify it on the immunization forms that universities have. Generally, have the option of certifying, getting it certified by a doctor about your TB test results, where they mention the results and they stamp and sign the form. So that can also be done. Hepatitis is again optional in many cases. If you really want to, you can take the vaccine. I wouldn't recommend taking it, but if you really want to do that, you can do that. COVID vaccine now is no longer required. Um, there used to, I mean, in the 2000 to 2022 till almost 23, it was mandatory. But now I think most universities have removed the requirements for COVID vaccines, and it's generally optional. If you have got the COVID vaccine, one dose, two dose, I don't know what what is the status of your COVID vaccines, carry a certificate of it. If you haven't or you don't want to, I think you should be okay. You don't have to really worry about the COVID vaccine as of now. But just check the university's requirement on immunization and do whatever is required for that. The next important thing is insurance. Now, insurance is a very important thing. Don't neglect buying insurance. Now, as I had mentioned in one of my messages also, there are a couple of insurances available in the US. One is what the university provides. Very few universities make it mandatory that you should buy university insurance only. If your university has it mandatory that you should buy university insurance only, then there is nothing much you can do about it. So you just have to go ahead and purchase that. If not, then there are many other international insurances available in the US, which are local insurance companies that sell insurance. When you're buying insurance, right, you should look at two things. One is whether the insurance is 100% cashless, and what is the copay amount. These are two very important things. And the third thing, of course, is the coverage, like whether you have national coverage or you have only state-wise coverage or local coverage kind of thing. Now, generally, the insurance works this way in the US. When you, in case you need to visit a doctor, now basically your university campus will have a doctor on call. In the sense, they will have a health center where there will be nurses and doctors available. So, if you need some medical attention which is not very severe, right, you can, or even if it is severe, you can always go to the health center. If they can treat you there, they will treat you there and send you back. Generally, services at the health center are free for students, but then they don't have a lot of sophisticated facilities available at the health center, and sometimes they might only refer you to visit a doctor. Or you could, if you think you need to visit a doctor, you can directly visit a private doctor or take an appointment and go and visit a doctor. Now, in case you decide to visit a doctor, uh, the doctor generally at the end of your treatment will ask you for your insurance details. I mean, they'll ask you how do you want to pay. Of course, you can always pay from your pocket. There is no harm in doing that, but then it will be an expensive thing. But in case you are paying through insurance, if your insurance is 100% cashless, then all you need to do is provide your insurance details. I mean, you would have an insurance card, so you provide that insurance card to the doctor's office. What they would do is there is something called as a copay. Copay is like it's COPAY, copay. In the sense, if your copay is say $20, that means for every illness that you visit the doctor, say if your bill comes to say $400, $20 is what you will have to pay, and the balance will be paid by the insurance company. So that is how the copay works. So if your copay is $20, then you will have to pay the doctor $20, doctor's office $20, and the rest $380, the doctor's office will send the bill and settle it with the with your insurance company. So you don't have to pay that. If your insurance is not cashless, then you have to pay the complete $400 to the doctor, and then base take the bills and whatever it is from the doctor, and then you will have to claim it with your insurance company. You will have to file a claim with your insurance company. You can go online on the insurance company's website and then submit the bills and file the claim. Now, the problem with the non-cashless insurance is that generally what happens is, of course, you will have to then have that much cash readily available with you. So if you have to make a payment of say 400, $500, you first have to pay and then claim it. Claims get settled anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks later. It's not going to be the very next day. So it just might create a little bit of cash crunch in case your bills are a little heavy. Uh, the second problem with the insurance companies is that many times, say for example, you had cold and flu or whatever it is, you went to the doctor, got treated, the doctor billed you for $400. When you try to settle it with the insurance company would tell you, and this happens in a lot of cases in the US, is that for this treatment, our prescribed payment is only $300 and not $400. I mean, the doctor overcharged. Now you cannot go back to the doctor and say that you overcharged me for the treatment, because the doctor's office would technically not agree to that. They say no, this is our standard billing that we charge for all people who come here with cold and flu. The insurance company would say our standard payment for this kind of treatment is only $300, so we will pay only 300. And then that is where the problem comes. So then you might end up getting only $300 from the insurance company against the 400 that you actually paid the doctor. In case of cashless, right, it is the doctor and the insurance company that they will settle. If the insurance company says you overcharged our patient, and the doctor says no, we don't charge, it is them to settle and fight it out, and you are out of the picture completely. So how much the insurance company pays the doctor or how much the doctor bills the insurance company is between them. So that is an advantage that you get by doing cashless claims. I mean, going for an insurance that has 100% cashless. Now, many times students ask whether the companies that sell insurance in India. I mean, there are many companies. Like, the most popular ones are ICICI Prudential, ICICI Lombard, sorry. Or there is Bajaj Alliance, or even Tata AIG, and all these. Even National Insurance also offers Oriental Insurance, or one of them offers travel insurance and all that. Now they are not 100% cashless. They are cashless only for treatments that require you at least 24 hours of hospitalization. So, in case you are admitted to I mean, for some illness that requires you to be hospitalized for more than 24 hours, only in that case the insurance works on a cashless basis. Otherwise, say for example, you're going with ICICI or Bajaj Alliance, then generally they would ask you to first pay the doctor and then file a claim with them. And settling the claim sometimes is a tedious process. And also, as I said, even if they honestly pay all the money, it will still take 3 to 4 weeks for them to give you the payment back, which means that till that period, you basically have to, I mean, you have already spent money from your pocket. So if the amounts are say $1,000 $2,000, then sometimes it's a big amount to spend from your own pocket and then file a claim with the insurance company. So, but in case of hospitalization, in case you require a treatment that needs you to be hospitalized, or there is a surgery that needs you to be admitted, in that case they offer cashless insurance, but otherwise it is not cashless. So read the fine print while buying any insurance, whether the insurance is 100% cashless or is it only cashless for treatments that require you to be admitted in a hospital for more than 24 hours. So that is a catch that although many insurance claim to be cashless, they are only cashless for hospitalization treatments, not for what you call as the OPD treatments, where you just walk into the doctor's office, get your medication prescriptions, and then go home. Right? Same goes with the prescriptions. If a doctor prescribes any medicine and you go to the pharmacy to buy those medicines, if it's a cashless insurance claim, you just do the copay payment, and then the balance is directly billed. The pharmacy will directly bill the insurance company, so you don't have to pay the pharmacy the full amount. But if it is not cashless, then you pay the pharmacy for the medication, and then you will have to then settle it with your insurance company. So Rishikesh has a question. Do you recommend to get hospitalized, come to India for some time, and after recovery go back? Now, Rishikesh, that depends on what illness you have, right? If you have fever or something, or it's something very minor, then you can just get it treated. The insurance company is going to pay for it, and that's why I would recommend buying good insurance, right? So unless it's something very severe that requires you to see, it's not the treatment that is an issue, but in case you need family support for some reason, and it's a major surgery, that a major health issue, which I hope nobody has to undergo. But in case it's something really major, then and you can do that. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense if it's just a small treatment that requires you, even if it's like a 2 day hospitalization, it's just get admitted, get it treated, and come back, right? I mean, start college, because otherwise, coming home, the amount, because the insurance companies will not pay for your tickets and all that. And in India also, no, I mean, I don't know, unless you have free medical facilities in India that you can avail for, you still have to pay for your airline tickets. That, I mean, and if you are not in a condition to catch a flight and come home, right, because of your illness, then it's again another issue that you will have to face. So that is the last option that I would suggest in case of some chronic illnesses. But otherwise, I would not recommend that as your first choice of coming back to India for every small treatment. Medical facilities are good. It's just the payment that is a challenge in the US. And that's why most insurances that you get in the US are cashless. So if you have US insurance, um, it is always better. The Indian insurance definitely are much cheaper, but like I said, there are two issues with it. One is, of course, the copay is slightly higher. The copay is $100 in most Indian insurance, whereas in the US insurance, the copay is $25. And the second thing is the cashless part of it. That it is not Indian insurances do not offer 100% cashless facility, uh, whereas US insurances are 100% cashless. Now, if you go for some local insurance companies in the US, their coverage might be limited, in the sense the number of hospitals that you can attend to might be limited. Sometimes some have local coverage, in the sense, say for example, you are in California, right? You are attending a university in California. You might buy purchase insurance that offers cashless coverage only in California, in the state of California, which is fine, because as a student, more or less, you will be in the same state. You will not. It's not going that you're going to travel a lot. So sometimes some universities, some insurance companies will offer cashless claims only in maybe two states or three states, which would be, say, California, Washington, or maybe somewhere Arizona or something like that, neighboring states. But if you maybe go to New York and had to attend a doctor's office at or get treated in New York, then it may not be completely cashless. They'll still pay for it. It's not that they will not pay, but then you will have to, again, as I said, settle it with the doctor and then file a claim. But within the two states or within the coverage area, it will be cashless. So those are the things that you will have to look at it on what is the coverage that they offer, in terms of to which extent do they cover. Second thing that you will have to also look at is the copay amount. And many times, uh, many insurance companies, right, they don't cover dental and they don't cover eyeglasses. Uh, Now, if someone dental is some insurance companies cover, or then you will have to buy separate insurance cover for dental. I mean, you will have to pay additional if you need dental cover. I would recommend, before you visit, maybe it would before you go to the US, get a dental checkup done. If you need some dental work to be done, you have cavities that need to be filled up or something. Generally, at your age, most students don't have severe dental issues, but just get a routine checkup done. Visit a dentist office maybe in this coming month and just get a dental checkup done. If there are some cavities that you might not have noticed, then you can just get them rectified, get your fillings done and all that. And for those who use glasses, contact lenses, buy an extra pair of glasses. um, Always better to carry two, because many times your insurance may not cover your eyeglass prescriptions. And in the US, without a proper prescription from a doctor, you will not be allowed to purchase glasses. So buying an extra pair of glasses, so one that you are wearing and one extra, is always a good thing. If you use contact lenses, then maybe buying I mean, if you use the disposable ones, then maybe take stock of whatever, maybe 6 months, 1 year lens. If it's a daily disposable contact lens that you're used to using. If you're not, if you use the monthly disposable ones, then just maybe 12 pairs or something, or maybe a little extra, so that in case you don't happen to come visit India in the next 1 year, you have something, you have stock for the, at least the next 1 year. That is the only thing I would recommend. So get your eyes and teeth checked up. So in case you need to change your glasses, get new prescription, get your glasses done, buy an extra pair. That's all about it. Again, it's not that you can't buy insurance for glasses and dental, but the basic insurance many times don't cover this. If you want to add those, you might have to pay an extra premium. That's all about it. It's not that in case you lose both pairs of glasses, then you're handicapped in the US or something like that. Nothing really. It's not a major problem. It's just it's going to cost you some money. So that problems, those are not major problems that cannot be fixed. But as I said, you might end up spending a little money. Anything about insurance or any related questions about that, or anything about maybe right from the beginning? I think some of you. Uh, yes, the university insurance is generally the best, but it is also the most costliest one. Uh, and that's why generally what happens is for students who get RAs, TAs, or some scholarships, right, the university offers insurance as one of the perks. So you get free insurance, and if you're getting that, that is a really good thing. Generally, the university insurance is the best. If it's the price difference between your university insurance and other private insurances is not very high, then I would say go for the university insurance. Their coverages and facilities are generally very good. So, and generally basic medication, right? There are what you call that over-the-counter medication. Um, Generally, your fever medications, basic painkillers, cold and flu medication, you will find it on the over the counter, in the sense, which means that you don't need prescription for those. Generally, your pain and all these pain balms and sprays that you get, like the Moo and Volini. I mean, they have different names there, but whatever it is, those kind of things. Or like if you have fever, there is a very famous company, I mean, brand called Tylenol that you get in the US for your fever medication, or cold and flu. So generally, normal stuff you will get for stomach upsets, if you have acidity problems, stomach upsets, loose motions, and all those things. Those medications you should find, laxatives and all that you will find on the counter, which means that you don't really have to, you don't need prescription to buy those medications. So those you can find, but anything that is gets more serious, that you can't get treated with those. So generally, when you get, if you have fever or you forget have a cold, you generally don't rush to a doctor immediately. Try these over-the-counter medication. Most students carry their own medication, a little bit of Crocin or paracetamol, whichever tablets, or maybe some basic things for cold that you're used to. The medication, or sometimes maybe an aspirin. Even aspirin you can buy on the counter for headaches and all that. So all those basic medication that you generally would carry from here for your stomach upsets or colds or fever, you will find it in the US on the counter, which means you don't have to get a prescription for those, or you don't need a doctor's prescription for that. You can just go and purchase it at any pharmacy. So pharmacy, or even Walmart's, or any of the grocery stores also would stack those. So don't worry so much about the medication part, unless there is some serious issue. There's some injuries or accidents, or you are have some chronic illnesses or something that really needs medical aid. Um, you will not generally need a doctor. You will not need to visit a doctor. If someone is into extreme sports, then sports injuries are not generally covered by insurance. So be a little careful about those. And when I say sports injuries, in a professional sports, if you get injured by playing cricket or football with your friends in the apartment complex, that is not an issue. Those things will be treated. When I say professional sports, if you are on the in some football team, or you go bungee jumping and there is an accident there, and those kind of professional, you do skydiving and all that, those kind of things. Of course, I don't know if those injuries in skydiving are even, you might even maybe not need any treatment, but in case those kind of extreme sports injuries are not covered by insurance. Rest of the things are. So if you play local gully cricket there, or play football, or maybe you play badminton in your university campus and you sprain a leg and all that, and you can get treated. Those are not called sports injuries. Sports injuries, when I mean, is professional. If someone is into professional sports, then you may not be covered in case you get injured while playing professional sport. The rest of the things are generally covered by the insurance. See, generally you can carry basic medication with you. Kush has a question. Mostly they don't check any prescriptions, but again, it depends on how much you carry. Right? If you're carrying one strip of 1 or 2 strips of say crocin, one strip of say whatever stomach upset medication that you want to carry, something if you think you are more prone to acidity, some antacids like Digene tablets and all that. Although you get all those things on the in the US very easily, but these things you can carry without any prescription. Nobody is going to ask you for those prescriptions and all that. But if someone is taking regular medication, if someone is on a medication plan that the doctor has prescribed and which requires you to take regular medication, then which in India is generally or not, which comes under the prescription medication. So in case you need prescriptions to buy those in India, then I would say carry those prescriptions. Otherwise, basic medications you don't need prescriptions. But again, don't carry too much medicines unless they are prescription medicine that you are supposed to take. Just as a precautionary measure, if you are carrying then one strip of each thing is good enough. Don't carry a lot of them. Most likely you may not use them, and at the end of the year or two when they expire, you'll just throw them. As I said, you get all those basic things that can buy here on the counter, you can buy there and on the counter. Whenever you need it, you can just go ahead and purchase. And they are not very expensive also. I mean, a Tylenol, or which basically is equivalent to our crocin, would cost you say $1, $2 kind of thing. So which would be, I mean, of course, yes, if you convert, it might come out to be a little, might seem expensive, but otherwise you can get it very easily. Okay. Anything else? Okay, coming to the next part, which is the forex part of it. Now, forex is something that see now. How do you basically? There are a couple of things that you will need to do. One is of course pay university fees, and the second thing is make provisions for your living cost. As far as the fee payment is concerned, in case you are paying through an education loan, I mean that is where, so it could be education loan, parents, or your own personal funds, or whatever is the combination that you want to do. While transferring money from an education loan to the university, many of the banks or the financial institutions where you have purchased an education loan, they would insist that they will only handle your forex part of it, which is fine. I mean, not a issue in that, but it is not really mandatory. The RBI doesn't require that the forex part should be handled by the same educational, I mean, the same lending institution. Say, for example, you have a loan from Union Bank of India, and Union Bank of says, okay, so you tell Union Bank, I need to transfer say $10,000 to the university. Ideally, who does the forex part is up to you, but many times banks would insist that their forex department will only take care of it, which is fine as long as the rates that they are offering are good. Sometimes these banks are very adamant and they say, no, we will not let you bring in a third party forex to do it. But legally they are not supposed to do it. But I would say don't, there is no point in arguing so much with the bank, because that is very convenient for you to just let them handle the forex rather than you getting in a third party forex. But if you want to do that, that is also fine. It's not that it's a problem. The bank is open to letting you do use your own forex service. Then what they would do is they would transfer your the money to your local bank account, I mean your local account in the bank, and then your forex, whoever you choose can transfer that from your Indian account to your US account, or to the university, they can pay the university. So whatever is your comfort level and whatever your banks allow, you can do it. If the money is in your own personal account, that is, you're not using the loan money, then you can use any forex service to transfer the money. And various for the bank would have their own forex, but banks' general forex rates are slightly higher than the private forexes that you generally get. But still, I would suggest ask the bank, shop around, and ask the rates for everybody on the same day. You because the rates keep changing almost every day, and generally a good time to ask for a rate is before 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So before 2 p.m., if you check, so it's around from 9 to 2 is when the rate gets finalized, and you can freeze the rate for the next 2 days. In the sense, today, if you book a forex, is today if the rate is 82, and you say, okay, I want to book the forex transaction now, the bank or the foreign exchange partner will book, say, a forex transaction for you to pay $10,000 at the rate of 82, provided you make the payment in the next 48 hours. That is what their or 48 working hours. That is how much they can wait. Many times they would insist that you do it within on the same day or at least in the next 24 hours. But up to 48 hours they can hold the rate. So tomorrow, if the rate goes higher or lower, if you have booked a forex transaction today, you will end up paying money at the same rate that it was today. Of course, if it goes down tomorrow, it's your loss, but then you can't help it. But when you are comparing forex rates, right? You ask for, say, you are maybe you want to check with your bank, or you want to check with some private firm. You want to check with Thomas Cook, Ebix. There is like I'd give it share to retail FRR Forex, and I think Unimoney, or there are some other thing. There is I think one more which is very popular, Zenith. Zenith you don't find a lot in Mumbai, but in Delhi and Calcutta they have a lot of big presence. Uh, they also offer good rates. So you can just, if you are calling them and ask, okay, what is the dollar rate if I have to send money abroad today to a university? What is the dollar rate? And you tell them what kind of transaction that you have to do, because dollar rates vary. If you're purchasing cash, then they would offer you at a different, slightly different dollar rate. If you want to make a pay money to a forex card, I mean, load money on a forex card, the rates are slightly different. If you have to do a bank to bank transfer like you do for paying your fees, the rates are slightly different with the same forex company. So cash is generally slightly expensive. Bank to bank transfers are much slightly cheaper. Uh, so depending, when you're shopping for forex, don't just say what is the dollar conversion rate today. Tell them for what purpose you need it. So you can call various people and say what is the dollar rate if I have to pay money to pay my tuition fee today. What is the dollar rate that you're offering? So you can just ask three or four of them, and then so that will give you an idea who is offering you the cheapest one, right? So every day it will be this. I mean, if say today, Unimoney is offering you the cheapest rate, even tomorrow compared to the other four, they will still be cheaper. So that is how you do your shopping. But you can't ask Unimoney today, ask FRR Forex tomorrow, ask Zenith the day after, because the rates change as per the Forex rates. So just check with your bank and maybe a couple of other Forex companies. There is one more. I'll probably after this call I'll send you. They are an online company. It's basically a Singapore-based company. They are also offering good rates because they claim that they don't pass it through intermediary bank. It goes directly from the Indian account. They are partnered with Ebix basically, and they say it goes directly from the Ebix account to your foreign bank. So they don't have intermediary banks. So that 20-30 paisa of commission that these intermediary banks ideally charge you won't happen. Uh, so whichever way you pay, it's all the same. In the sense, apart from the minor rate of 20-30 paisa that you will get, uh, it is not going to make a big difference. But 20-30 paisa also, when you're paying $10,000 or say $20,000, it will cost. I mean, it will be even 10 paisa will be almost 1,000 rupees ka difference. So if you're making a big payment of $20,000, you might spend 2,000, 3,000 rupees more depending on which forex service you choose. But that's all about it. All forex companies, whether you use your bank or any of these registered forex companies, they are generally very safe. So don't hesitate to use whichever forex company you are comfortable with. Okay. Uh, in all these years, I have never seen a forex transaction going wrong. In the sense, at the most, there is a 1 day delay if they don't do it. So basically, what happens is if they book the transaction before 2 p.m., right, it gets booked on the same day. So it's quite possible that if the forex companies book the transaction, or do the actual transaction before 2 p.m. in the afternoon, the money gets paid to the US account on the very same day. Uh, Many times, what happens is these forex companies, they would take payment from you, and they may not do it on the same day because whatever they are busy or something. They do it at the end of the day, uh, or then maybe they do it the next day because they have to do it within 48 hours. So they do it the next day or something like that, and that is when the delay happens. So if they do it the next day or they do it in the evening, it would basically be done on the next day. But beyond that, and that's why they give you a 48-hour limit, that the money will be credited in the beneficiary's account within 48 hours. But if they do it before 2 p.m., it gets credited on the same day in many cases. That's the only difference that you will find between the forex companies on when they do the transaction, and how much that all depends on how much workload the person has at that time. But that's all about it. Everybody is safe, so choose whichever forex company is available. The same goes with forex card. Most, in fact, I mean, all companies that issues forex cards, whether it's a bank or any of these private forex, it's all going to be a Visa card. I mean, you could go for a Mastercard, but Visa is more popular. So, and for US, I would recommend Visa because it is more, it is accepted at more places than Mastercard. Mastercard is also accepted at almost all places, but Visas are preferred. Um, so whichever company, whether you go to a bank or you go to maybe one of these forex companies, I would suggest you can get a forex card loaded with some small amount, small in the sense around $2,000 is what I would suggest. Once you go to the US, you can open your own bank account. I mean, you will have to open a bank account in the US, and then your parents can transfer money your from India to the US bank account, because your US bank account will eventually give you a debit card. Eventually, in the sense, in the very first week, you will get a debit card. So then you can start using the local debit card rather than the forex card. I would suggest use the forex card up to $2,000, finish it off, and then don't reload it again. Just throw it away. Okay. Because sometimes what I have experienced is that if there are any fraudulent transactions on your forex card issued in India, claiming that, I mean, filing a claim and getting that settled can sometimes be a tedious process. Uh, but if it's there's a for some fraudulent transaction happens on your US credit card or US debit card, because the bank is local and everything is in the local, getting that settled or getting that rectified is very easy. That's the only difference between a US credit debit card and a Indian debit card. So I would suggest, as soon as you can, migrate to the start using the US debit card that is issued by your US bank. And once you finish this, maybe you have loaded $2,000 on your debit card. I mean the forex card that you purchase in India. Once that is over, just destroy the card and throw it away. You can carry up to $500 in cash. That is what I would recommend. So $500 in cash, 2,000 on the forex card, and the rest, as I said, once you reach the US, your parents can transfer money to your US account, or you can do it yourself. Whatever is your comfort level. Or if you're paying from the loan, you can ask your the generally many loans pay for living expenses also. So they can transfer part money to the university, and part of it they can transfer it to your personal US account once you open the US account. Any questions on the forex part or anything?
Sir, regarding Forex card only,
Yeah.
means what questions like to ask to the bank or like the organization so that all things will get cleared. Can you just?
Ideally, there is all forex cards, like I said, come as Visa cards only. So there are no this thing. The only thing that you should know about forex cards is that forex card there is no. So for example, if you load $2,000 today, um, basically you can keep using that card up to $2,000 are exhausted. Now they don't. There is no markup on forex cards, in the sense, if you're putting $2,000, you basically go into the US. Maybe you shop for $10. now the balance on your card will reduce by $10, so it will be 1990. If you withdraw money from the ATM using that forex card, then there is a some $2 or 3% or whatever it is. I don't remember. It depends on the card. There is a markup. So, for example, if you withdraw $100 from the ATM, then instead of deducting 100, they will deduct $102. So there is a $2 or something. I'm just giving an example. It could be a $2, $3 markup. But if you spend $100 to buy an item, you will not pay anything extra. You will pay only $100 will get deducted from your account. So that is the only thing about forex cards that you should know, and this is the case with all forex cards. Some forex cards now have come up with some, last year at least I saw some scheme saying that uh, up to 3 ATM withdrawals per month are free. In the sense, they will not charge you that extra for up to 3 cash withdrawals or up to 2 cash withdrawals. But generally, don't use the forex card for cash withdrawals. I would suggest use it for this thing. Most of it comes with an app or a website where you can control um, how much do you spend on the card, or what is the limits that you can spend. Maybe you don't want to keep a limit of more than $100 per transaction, or because some, in case the card gets lost, right? uh, and before you can go, of course, online and block the card. Those facilities are all available on the Visa card. But before you do that, if someone is using it, you don't want that person to spend more than $100 kind of thing per day, or you can just set your limits on how much can be spent on that card and per transaction per day and all those kind of things. But as I said, most of them, these are facilities by Visa. All of them are almost very similar in terms of facilities, so there is nothing really much to ask about it. And all cards come with the facility of reloading that card. In the sense, if you think you want to add more money to that card at a later stage, your parents can just contact the same bank or forex company and tell them, I want to add some $2,000 more on that card, and they can do that. There is no harm in doing that, but as I said, it is always better to just eventually migrate to the US card rather than adding money and using this forex card. So, hidden charges. Kush has a question. What are the hidden charges of wire transfer? Now, when you do wire transfer, right, there are hidden charges. I wouldn't say they are hidden. They are very obvious charges that you will have to pay. One is there is something called as the. I mean, what happens is you will have to check with the forex partner on. So, even before that, right? So there are going to be bank charges. The intermediary bank and the receiving bank has to pay, will ask you to pay some charges, or there, which totally can come to around $25 per transaction. So basically, when you do the forex transaction, there will be I mean, you will have, the forex company will ask you is whom do you want to pay the charges, whether you want the sender to pay it or the receiver to pay it, or you want to split the charges. Now in this case, is you basically, so basically if you're paying say $10,000 and there is a $20 charge on that, so if you say the receiver should pay the charges, then the receiver will not receive the full $10,000, but $20 is the charges, then that much would be less, will be less when it gets credited to the receiver's account. When you say that okay, you want to pay the charges, then basically the bank will add those charges to your account. I mean, so $10,000 plus converted to Indian rupees plus charges plus GST, whatever is the GST amount that you have to pay on that transaction, on the service charges, on the service that they are offering you, that much you will have to pay. So it will basically be depends on who is, so that you cannot avoid those charges. Every bank will charge you those, or every forex company will charge you those charges. Now it is up to you whether you want to, the transaction charges should be paid by the sender or the receiver. But there is those are actually not very hidden charges. They are very open charges that they would charge you, and almost in most cases it will be around $25. Comparing a US bank is that find something which has an ATM on campus. That's the only thing I would say. All banks basically will have this, because see, at your level you will be basically opening a simple checking account at the bank, right? Now banks have US banks have for the checking accounts, right? If you are under 25 of age, then there is a minimum. Then generally there is, they open you let you open a zero balance account. If you are over 25, then you may not be allowed to open a zero balance account. You will be have to maintain some minimum $780 or $720 as the minimum quarterly balance in the account. Otherwise, there will be charges on the account. So that is the only thing that you have to check if they are. I mean, what is the minimum quarterly balance that you have to maintain in the account? Is it a zero balance account or is it not a zero balance account? And find something which has an ATM on campus, because in case you need to withdraw cash, you need to go to an ATM of the bank. So generally, during your orientation, the banks that have their presence in and around the campus will only come to the orientation, or rather, the university will invite those banks on campus, so that students, you don't have to actually go to the bank to open a bank account, but during your orientation, the bank there will be bank counters set up on campus, and you can choose whichever bank you want and basically go and open a bank account with them on campus itself. In the sense, they you could go to the counters that the university has set up, which would be temporary counters just during the orientation, and they would help you with the bank account formalities. All you will need is a passport and your visa copy, and they will uh, open a bank account for you. But as I said, the minimum balance maintenance is whatever is required, especially if you are over 25. Then what are the charges that are that you will have to pay is what you will have to check. Otherwise, I think everything should be, all banks would be the same. I don't think there would be any basic major differences in the basic checking account that you will be opening. Then once you actually start earning a lot of money and all that, then you can decide which bank is more better, what facilities they offer and all that. But at this level, I would say don't worry too much about it. Okay, any more questions in general about your, okay, carrying your phones. So one of the things about laptops, phones, just carry your phones and laptops. Unless you really need to buy a new phone, you can carry your old phones from here. Most phones nowadays work in the US, so you can just purchase a SIM there or purchase a plan there. Of course, nowadays many of these come with eSIMs or something like that. You don't have to keep your Indian number active for a long time. If you just, unless you really feel the need to do that, you can do that. But otherwise, just, I mean, in that case, I would suggest just leave the SIM with someone in India in their Indian phones. If you have a lot of bank accounts and other financial transactions that are associated with it, where you need to receive the OTP from time to time, then just put it in the phone and leave that phone in India and let someone just keep it charged and active. But otherwise, if your number is really not that important, then just discard it once you go to the US. I mean, of course, if you don't use it, it will automatically get discarded. I mean, in 3 months or 6 months, if it's not in service, your phone company will most likely, and it's a prepaid number, of course, you will automatically get discarded. So just forget about it. You go there and get a new phone. I mean, sorry, a new SIM. You don't have to get a new phone unless your phone is, if you have a phone in good condition, just carry that and you can use it there. All survey, I mean, there are these foreign numbers that you get. Um, for example, you have these matrix cards and all those things. Ideally, not required. Um, if you really want, because what happens is most of these airports have free Wi-Fi. Indian airports also have free Wi-Fi. The only problem with Indian airports is that would want you to have a phone number, so that they send an OTP first, verify your phone number, and then only then you will be allowed to use the Wi-Fi. But on foreign airports, you don't have the concept of OTPs and all that, so you can directly use Wi-Fi on foreign airports. Maybe like someone was traveling by Istanbul, so Istanbul airport will have Wi-Fi. free Wi-Fi. Where whichever airport you land in the US, you'll have free Wi-Fi there. So you can always use WhatsApp and all for your calling and informing your family. Your university will have free Wi-Fi. So till you actually get a number, you might just use. I mean, and your SIM is not active. You can just you'll still be active on the internet, and uh, you can do that. In case like as Sahil is asking, if you want maybe for 15 days or 1 week activate international roaming, that will cost you some 800 900 rupees extra. If you think you want to do that, you can do that. That is also a decent idea rather than buying one of those matrix cards for 3000 rupees or something like that. So you could just activate international roaming on your current SIM if you are planning to carry it on your phone. It is not really required, but yes, in case you are roaming outside on the US where there is no access to free Wi-Fi, then your phone can have limited. You can use your phone. So I mean your SIM's ka Wi-Fi Indian if you have activated international, just to maybe for directions or whatever limited usage. Although these phones, I mean these international plans that you buy don't come with unlimited or a huge Wi-Fi facility, but a little bit whatever it comes is sufficient enough because, as I said, in airports, universities, your apartments, and all, you may have Wi-Fi connectivity. Only when you are out on the road streets, you may not have that. But and very soon, within a week of landing there, or even much before that, you can get a US number activated so that you may not need this Indian number for a long time. But yes, I would suggest that in case you want to, you can get roaming activated uh, maybe for 1 week or 10 days or whatever it is. Generally, I think you get a 2 week plan, which cost most of them. I mean, Airtel or Vodafone or Jio and all that. They charge somewhere around 700 to 900 rupees for a 2 week plan. So I would say just go ahead and purchase that. That can be one way of being connected even while you are in the US, at least for the initial time when you don't have your US number activated. So in the US also there are many service providers, T-Mobile or there are which is generally a very popular one, AT&T, another popular service. Whichever suits you, whichever plan is cheaper at that point, these plans keep changing. Your seniors or some colleagues might be able to help you there in terms of recommending which phone services are good, which has good coverage, which has good connectivity, and which plans currently are the best offers that they are offering. Based on that, you can choose whichever is the proper service at that point. So, okay. Beyond this, I mean, any other questions that anybody has? I mean, for those who joined late regarding Forex, immigration, insurance, anything that you think you need clarification on, or feel free to ask. But as I said, all these things are not really very crucial things. But just being aware of everything will just makes your life a little comfortable. And either way, you will learn, and once you actually go there, you will learn and figure it out yourself. Those are not very complicated things to deal with. Okay, the most another very important thing. I mean, this is not really got much to do with your pre-departure, post-departure thing. Is often I have seen. I mean, that students really, and this is something that this is for all of you, is that the whole experience of going to the US, talking to your friends, seniors, and all that, can sometimes be a little overwhelming and a little depressing. And I use the word depressing is because many times students, when they land there, they realize or they would be told by their seniors is the job markets are not good. Uh, People are not getting internships. People are not getting jobs. I would say don't get too carried away with all these talk. Yes, I'm not saying that the job market is really great, but it's not that bad. Students do get jobs. Put in your best efforts. Be proactive on your job search. So don't let these negative thoughts depress you or make you feel sad. At least as a student landing in the US for the first time, as Your first few months should be focused on ensuring that you do your academics properly. I mean, make sure your grades are good. You put devote whatever time you can towards your studies, and eventually your job search and all would fall in place. Of course, you should be proactive towards your job search. You should start working on your resumes. Maybe not right on day one, but maybe at least when it comes to around September and all. September would be a good time for you. I mean, August and all, you settle down. Maybe most of you would be traveling around the second week of August. So by the time your classes start in September or August end, for those going to California, they might be a little late in some cases. Some of the UC start a little late in September. But whenever you land in the US, after you settle down, your classes start. That is when you can really start working on the resume and job search and all that. You don't really need to panic and start working on it from day one. If there are some skills that you think you need to upgrade beyond the academics, that you think you need to do some additional courses online and all that, you can plan that systematically. You don't have to start worrying about it right from now, or enjoy your experience. The jobs, the internships and all will fall in place. Of course, as I said, you will have to put in systematic efforts and proactive efforts, but don't have to end up in a panic situation, or be so depressed that okay, nobody is getting jobs, I'll not get jobs, and all those kind of thoughts. Try to keep away from all those negative thoughts. It's finally just one job and one internship, and I don't think it is going to be that difficult if you put in systematic efforts. Another thing that I would like to put in say is that often students fall victim to what is typically known as imposter syndrome. If you haven't heard of what imposter syndrome is, or what it basically means, you can of course Google it out. But what it means is that many times students feel that everybody around me is very smart, and I am here maybe because of luck, or I don't deserve to be here. My classmates are so smart. My other students that I meet in the US, everybody knows has their life sorted. To a certain extent, I would say LinkedIn and Instagram are to blame for that. And I have also, I mean, I feel that students are somehow these days not very honest, about revealing what their true feelings are. Unless you are really close to someone, everybody kind of feels that everybody kind of portrays that everything is going good in their life. uh, and then you realize that okay, I'm finding things a little difficult, I'm finding my academics difficult, I'm finding my daily routines a little difficult. Maybe something is wrong with me, or I don't deserve to be here. These are very smart people, they find everything easy. Actually, that is not the case. Everybody is in this, I can assure you that everybody is in the same boat. However good their academics might be, everybody is struggling with it. Um, Sometimes students try to portray as if they have their whole courses sorted. They know which courses they are planning to take. They know which internships they want to apply for. How do they want to plan their this thing? And you might feel that this person has everything. Everybody has everything sorted out. I don't. I'm completely clueless on which courses I would take the next semester. How do I go about my job search? My resume is not ready. It is fine. I mean, just be honest, get help if you need to, and be very honest in expressing your true feelings. It is okay to be scared, it is okay to feel nervous. Those are all good feelings, because only when you're scared, when you're nervous, you'll do something about it. But don't just get into depression, or don't feel that everybody is smarter than me, and don't let that feeling ruin the fun of your academics or your college life. For most of you, this might be your last degree. uh, I hope not, but most of you might this might be at least for the next few years. You will not be in college after you finished your masters. So make the best out of it. Enjoy life. You will not get college life again in most cases. So whatever you can, just have fun. Make sure that you enjoy your college life rather than be getting too carried away with all these thoughts. Careers and all will fall in place if you put in sincere efforts. So don't get carried away by the whole imposter syndrome thing, and try to help others, as and you can always ask help from others also, because trust me, everybody is going to be in that same boat. Everybody is struggling. Just that sometimes, of late students, or many, not only students, even in corporate lives, I've seen people don't try to be honest about how they feel, and mm, everybody tries to portray good things on LinkedIn and Instagram. So try to stay away from it, is what I would recommend. Anything else that you guys have, or anything that you want need to ask? Of course, you can always ping me later and ask. But today, before we conclude this session, anything else that you would like to ask or discuss? Okay, if there are no more questions, then maybe we'll conclude today's discussion, and I'll share the recording of this as well with you later during the day, or maybe tomorrow, and then you can take a look at it. If you still have any questions regarding your whatever travel, immigration, just feel free to message or call.